Hey, you remember the Magic School Bus? It was an educational cartoon that ran in the mid-90s based on the books of the same name. They starred the class of Miss Frizzle, who had the titular Magic School Bus. She used it to do all kinds of crazy things, like take her class into the water cycle, through active volcanoes, or out into the solar system. They went all over the place, from Mercury all the way to Pluto, which was thought to be a planet at the time. We even got to see Arnold take off his helmet. You know that a show is willing to do whatever it takes to teach when they're willing to kill off a kid in episode 1. I used to watch this show like every day before school, back before my family had cable. And then I got to watch it in school because my science teachers loved using it to teach about various abstract concepts. Everyone remembers these characters. There was Arnold, who was the only kid who had any common sense, Carlos, who made puns that annoyed everyone, and, the other kids. Dorothy Ann was the smart one, I think? Okay, the kids themselves weren't really the point of the show. They were there more or less to ask questions so that the Frizz could end up answering them in the pursuit of science. It didn't really matter. Miss Frizzle was everyone's favorite character. She had such a dynamic personality and a lack of caring for student safety that you could only get if you tenured at Hogwarts. In my mind, that is totally canon. Miss Frizzle used to work at Hogwarts. And not to mention, the show had a kick-ass theme song.
Cruising on down Main Street, you're relaxed and feeling good. Next thing that you know, you're seeing.
It made my top 20 best animated theme songs, a video that I am still trying to get uncopyright blocked to this day. It seriously puts other educational shows like Arthur or Cyberchase to shame in that regard. But this video isn't about the Magic School Bus, is it? So in 2017, Netflix got an evil idea. An awful idea. An evilly awful idea. That was Big Mouth. But because Netflix is a cult bent on bringing in the apocalypse, they decided that even that wouldn't be enough and rebooted the Magic School Bus on the very same day. You forgot about this one, didn't you? I didn't forget. I can't forget. My eyes stare eternally into the abyss, waiting for the sweet release of a meteor, rendering me peace from peace. Now, I'm not saying The Magic School Bus Rides Again is a horror straight out of the Cthulhu mythos, but I am implying it. The 2010s was filled with terrible and unnecessary remake after terrible and unnecessary remake. Like, Powerpuff Girls 2016. Was I asking for this? Was anyone asking for this? Is anyone happy that it's here? No. Ghostbusters 2016? Teen Titans Go? The Teen Titans remake for the people who hated Teen Titans Go?
Fuck Batman.
The Mummy, A Nightmare on Elm Street, the 1960s, just remakes that no one fucking needs. Like, when anyone complains about Hollywood's remake problem, people like to point out that Hollywood makes these because they're guaranteed income. And I'm all like, have you been in the coma or have I been in the coma? Because 90% of these remakes are flops, and they're like panned as soon as they are announced. A quirky, bad original film at least has a chance to get a cult status, but a soulless remake that has no point to exist, like Ghostbusters 2016, just ends up a massive failure and forgotten. From a profit standpoint, 2016 and beyond, it is a riskier move to make a remake than an original product. Just look at The Magic School Bus Rides Again. My favorite thing about this remake is how the animation looked better 30 years ago. I'm not even kidding or exaggerating. The best point of comparison is the opening, this line here.
Just to make your day complete, you might get baked into a pile of magic.
Look at the original. See all of the exaggeration on the chef's face. He really looks like he's just been traumatized. Meanwhile, in the remake, it looks like I've just been traumatized for watching this stilted, horrific animation. Seriously, play this shit in G major and it will probably be more fitting.
Just to make your day complete.
Made even worse is the fact that these are all the same characters from the original.
Please let this be a normal field trip.
That is supposed to be Arnold, and that don't look like Arnold. Either the one before he took off his helmet on Pluto, or his lookalike that they hired so the school could dodge a lawsuit for getting one of their students killed. Seriously, I know that you had to change up the art style because you got new tools, but why doesn't Arnold have curly hair? The only character who's actually a different character from the original is Miss Frizzle. So let me get this straight. You decided to remake The Magic School Bus, and your big idea of an update is to replace the most memorable character from the show. But why though? This isn't like a Miss Bellum deal either. The original Miss Frizzle is still a character in the show. She's just at the end of each episode, basically elaborating on the concepts and correcting any misinformation viewers might have gotten from their need to fabricate things for the sake of a story. In the original, they essentially had self-inserts of the producers doing it, but they'd say things like, for example, it doesn't matter how good your sunglasses are, don't look directly at the goddamn sun. It really is such a shame that the show has made such a terrible first impression, because honestly, with the Magic School Bus, I'm actually more forgiving of the idea of a remake than most other properties. I know. What separates the Magic School Bus from something like, I don't know, the Powerpuff Girls? The answer is simple. The Magic School Bus is an educational show, specifically a science education show. With the original Powerpuff Girls, pretty much all of the episodes will give you the same experience that people would have gotten watching them in the late 90s or early 2000s. Maybe some episodes have aged poorly, and maybe some of the episodes have new relevance, but generally it's the same show that it was back then, and it's still good. It still holds up, at least the first 4 seasons do. The Magic School Bus was a good show with memorable characters, a good sense of humor, and a creative way of showcasing scientific phenomena. The issue, though, is that science moves, and it can move quite fast. Like I keep mentioning in the first episode that the class went to Pluto as they explored the planets in the solar system. As of 2006, Pluto is not considered a planet anymore, but a dwarf planet in the Kuiper Belt. This is an especially apparent problem in any episode that's about computers.
Let's see. This computer is a state-of-the-art ENIAC Maniac 2000 with a gazillion gigabyte hard drive, more RAM than a traffic jam, and a flippity-floppity-zippity-doo-dah floppy drive.
A computer with a gazillion gigabytes of data that still uses a floppy drive. Also, my calculator makes that sound like a potato. Educational shows, especially science ones, do need to be updated as our knowledge of the universe grows. Like, one of the first things that they should teach anyone in science class is that virtually everything you learn in science class will probably be realized to be false, or at most only a small part of the bigger story when we have better tools, better techniques, or better numbers. So I'm not against remaking shows like the Magic School Bus or Bill Nye on principle.
'Cause my sex junk is so much more than either.
The problem is that people remaking these shows don't tend to have any principles. Bill Nye Saves the World was also a Netflix show, by the way. So, if the show went out of its way to teach these updated concepts quite well, I probably wouldn't have too much of a problem with this remake. However, they decided to pick some interesting topics to teach about. Today we're going to be learning about shit. Again. When I wanted to get back to my roots, this isn't exactly what I meant. Wait until my next review when we're talking about ejaculation. Again. When people ask me what my job is, I just tell them that I work for Google. It's like so much easier than any other conversation that follows. Anyway, if you don't believe me that we're going to be learning about shit, here's the episode synopsis according to Wikipedia. Dorothy Ann is preparing a musical about flowers, but the orchids that she has been growing for it are withering. When they try to find fertilizer to enrich the soil, the other students are dismayed to learn that it comes from feces. They overcome their aversion as Miss Frizzle teaches them about the nutrient cycle. When it is time to perform, Arnold works these concepts into a cover of Sir Elton John's Circle of Life. You ever wonder if you, died and are in purgatory and, God and the devil are laughing it up at your expense? Just taking bets on how long it'll take for you to figure it out? The title of this episode is Waste Not, Want Not. And it certainly is a fitting title, because they didn't waste their opportunity to obliterate the Magic School Bus. This is another property that I never want to see again. Also, this is just a nitpick, but everything about this episode is terrible. So, one thing they kept from the original show is that every episode, Miss Frizzle wears an outfit that's reminiscent of what she's going to teach today. And you'll notice in this episode, she's wearing a skirt emblazoned with animal shitting, and working with shit. This isn't relevant to anything, but I just wanted to point out how they managed to recapture that little tidbit from the original and pervert it to the point where it makes me want to jump out a 5-story window.
Water, nutrients, soil, carbon dioxide.
We're working on a musical, DA. Why say it when you can sing it?
Oh, I forgot to mention, the episode about the shit cycle is a musical.
You know, after you've had a big meal, your tummy gets all full. And then when your tummy is done with the food, you get this feeling, and you need to go to a certain room of the house. A certain room of the house.
Almost every song in this episode is about the concept of shit. After this, I kind of want to go back to the 80s, where every show was Care Bears, conflict wasn't allowed to exist, every character was lobotomized, and nothing ever bad happened, because the alternative? It ain't working out so well. Netflix is the only entity in the world that can make me feel sympathy for the higher-ups at Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network. So the basic idea is that because Dorothy Ann was growing her flowers in a super sterile environment, they're all dying, so they take them to a scientist.
What does it do?
What doesn't it do? lots of things, actually. But it does make brown gold the most nutrient-dense plant food out there.
They're going to be using this term a lot, brown gold. So let's get the obvious out of the way first. Science isn't all sunshine and rainbows. There are gross topics that, yes, are even taught in school. Most of us have dissected like a frog or a worm or something like that. And some disgusting shit is important to know. But when it comes to an entertainment medium like television, you have to keep good taste in mind. Like, when the original went into the digestive system, they did showcase the rectum, but like, they weren't rolling in it. There is a very good chance that the rest of the review is going to be like this, yes.
I need a lot of raw material for the corporate converter, and I don't know where to start, and since you're in a hurry...
Maybe my class can help. We're good like that.
You want to deal with these types of subjects delicately. Roll them in a lot of fluff, hopefully 2-ply, and for the love of God, don't let the memory of the disgusting parts linger after you're done.
I'll carry the raw material in with my bare hands if I have to.
Carlos! I think. Kinda hard to tell with this bad animation and changing up like everyone's basic design for no reason.
Guys, wait, it won't be so bad. Come back.
Yeah, I just need your help gathering a shit ton of poop. I have no idea what you're complaining about. You guys all signed permission slips for this, right?
Brown gold is genius, and like most geniuses, it's misunderstood.
You understand that, everyone? Shit is a misunderstood genius.
Every dog and cat must do its duty.
This is just another nitpick, but the songs in this musical episode are god-awful. I'd call them shit, but then it would feel like it was intentional, and I don't want to give this episode that kind of benefit of the doubt.
Every monkey, chipmunk, and poodle too.
Please do not say poodle in your song about shit. You are going to ruin poodles for everyone. And this song helps them come up with a new euphemism for shit.
Okay, maybe it is natural, and maybe everybody does do it.
But we don't have to like it. Consensus. Nobody likes Puka Dumpadoodie.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
You wouldn't?
In fact, I know just the place to get the scoop. Who's in?
Miss Frizzle, I don't think you're allowed to take minors to those kind of studios.
How could anybody like Puka Dumpadoodie? I mean, what is there to like?
I've been on the internet for far too long since I know the answer to that question. Also, combining all the euphemisms for shit doesn't make it cute or pleasant. In fact, it makes it a lot worse than if you were just saying shit over and over again.
Yes, and doesn't knowing your sandwich is crammed full of nutrients make you wonder if that is too?
Yes, we want a closer look, right? No!
There are a lot of jokes that I could make, but like, one of Miss Frizzle's class just said that she wanted to take a closer look at shit. If a child in the real world had such a reaction, you take them to a therapist. And like, even if this is trying to teach kids the science of the shit cycle, stop trying to encourage them that this is the most wonderful thing that you should get anywhere close to. We get rid of shit for a reason. The stuff is filled with terrible bacteria that could get you seriously sick. Something that they don't even mention until like the end of the episode. Before that, the only talk about bacteria is the beneficial kind. So I got a Zen riddle for you. Is it better or worse that elephant shit is in the animation style of the Magic School Bus rides again? Trick question. The answer is I hate humanity.
So Puka Dumpadoodie is full of good stuff? That's great news!
Imagine a parent coming in, seeing what their kid is watching, being so horrified that they turn the episode off now, and this is the final impression that a kid gets on the concept of shit.
What are they doing?
Having lunch.
What?
I kinda hate butterflies now. Not entirely sure why, I just fucking hate butterflies. I see one, like, landing on a flower, and I just want to take a fucking katana and just slice that shit in half. I really can't explain why I have this irrational hatred of butterflies, but I do. And it's probably gonna stick with me for the rest of my life now.
This is the hottest, steamiest table in town, class. Good thing I made reservations.
There exists scat porn that has a lower opinion of feces than this episode. So after they sing another song about how great shit is, they go down and look at shit at a microscopic level.
Let's be what we see.
I think that's the thought process that created this episode. Because we are making an episode about shit, let's be shit.
According to my research.
Just a quick tip, Dorothy Ann. You might want to delete your browsing history. Like, all of it. Empty the cache, dump the cookies, light the fucking computer on fire, bury it on the side of the highway. Tell the police that you were never there on the night of July 7th, that you had no interest in murdering the baker, and that insurance claim you put on his store was just a coincidence. You know, the simple stuff.
Puka Dumpadoodie is amazing!
Kids, don't be like Dorothy Ann. People are gonna think you got problems.
So let's cram the bus full of it, floor to ceiling. Come on, guys!
Maybe this is like scat porn, and some adult studio just got like the most educational film of their career.
Besides, nature is using that Puka-Dumpa-Duty. We should only use the stuff nature doesn't need, like the stuff we flush away.
Got it, kids? Leave animal shit alone. Only use human shit for your fertilizer.
Where does it go?
Oh, if only there was a way to find out. Oh wait, magic bus, duh.
You know, she has the exact same speech inflections as Chris McClain, and I can imagine these kids' parents are like watching in horror as some demented jackoff has kidnapped their children to talk about all the wonders of feces. I love how they keep trying to dance, which only goes to show off how bad the animation is in this remake. Like, seriously guys, watch the original. It had people who like gave a shit. You know what I mean! The original was all cell animated, as most things were in the 90s. But the remake discovered we had these new things called computers and they can do all of our work for us. So it uses this very stiff, very awkward, very ugly, very robotic, very unpleasant, very lazy, very hack, very cheap puppet animation. Netflix, it's called animation. To be animated means to fucking move. And I get it, most Netflix cartoons have very limited animation, all things considered. Even their best ones like BoJack Horseman. But there's a way to make limited animation look appealing. And the way you don't do it is by giving that style to a very vibrant, fluid animated show that makes liberal use of exaggeration, even though you don't have the budget to make it look like anything but ass, and fill it with awkward, stilted dancing. Where was I? Oh yeah, the kids are going into a sewage treatment plant, where they land in a pile of shit, where they decide to take shit from the sewage treatment plant. I always wanted to see the Magic School Bus as a giant dung beetle. I finally feel like my life is actually complete now. My bucket list is complete. I can go die now, and I probably should do that. It would be better than watching the rest of this episode. Because the next thing they do is fill a machine with a bunch of raw shit, and the machine explodes, and it covers all of the characters who are school children in raw shit. In all seriousness, I have been joking about wanting to go back to the time of the 80s with super media censorship, because we are going to get that stuff again, and it really is only a matter of time, and the blame is entirely 100% on Netflix. Do other streaming services like Hulu or Disney Plus push forward shit like Cuties or Big Mouth that just barely skirt the law? Does Amazon Prime extol the virtues of shit? As awful as Quibi was, did it have this?
'Cause my sex junk is so
Mark my words, in 10 years' time, Netflix, if they keep doing this, they will piss off enough people that there will probably be regulation that will kill off the golden age of creative freedom in streaming, leaving any new show or product as sterile and advertiser-friendly as your local-friendly YouTube video. Ironically enough, if you want to see more projects like BoJack Horseman or Tuca and Birdie, at this point your best option is to support any other streaming service than Netflix. Their irresponsibility and flagrant lack of forethought is going to hurt everyone in the end.
How do we get what the orchid prefers?
Out of these sludgy biopolymers.
Shut the fuck up. You've said enough.
With my machine broken, I guess that won't happen for a long time.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Neither does the lab coat either, by the way. So the end of the episode has them singing about the shit cycle, basically to the music of The Circle of Life, something that I'd probably consider a hate crime at this point. Also, this is something they don't mention in the episode, but wash your hands after using fertilizer. They go on saying that all the bacteria is dead, like the fertilizer is completely sterile. But in many cases, what makes you sick isn't just the bacteria, but the bacteria's excretions, as in the poop of the poop eaters. And heat doesn't get rid of that. This is the reason that you can only reheat food so many times before it causes problems and gets you sick.
A bacteria breakfast buffet.
If anyone talks, or for the love of God, sings about shit with that expression, run. Don't walk. Just fucking run. Don't ask questions, just get the fucking out of Dodge. Just get the fuck out of Dodge. And we finally have the episode ending with the students singing about all that they had learned today to their parents, complete with the shit hats, probably suggested by a shithead. And of course, all the people attending the play that has their kids singing about how awesome shit is are all smiling. That is because Netflix is entirely run by an alien conspiracy that does not understand the slightest thing about humans, and they have a culture and biology that most Earthlings would probably find horrifically repulsive. Or maybe Netflix is just not good at what it does. Yeah, I am probably not supporting Netflix for the foreseeable future. I'd say they've gone to shit, but I think that's self-apparent, and we've talked about defecation enough in this video. Join me next time when we rub one out with Rick and Morty. Hey, you've reached the end of the video. The names scrolling by right now are of all the wonderful patrons who've donated to help keep this channel alive. If you'd like your name in the credits, head on over and make a donation yourself. Also, be sure to check out my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for exclusive content and previews of my upcoming videos. I've also got a forum where you can discuss anything that has to do with my content and connect with the rest of the community. To find anything that I mentioned, just visit my link tree in the description down below. Lastly, be sure to subscribe, comment, and share this video with your friends. Oh, and thanks for watching.